Welcome to We're Not the Same. Super excited topic today. We're going to talking all about why I don't like to wear makeup. I mean, why you don't wear makeup. No, makeup's a big topic and something that's so critical for you and for our girls. And we're just really excited to talk about it and understand what it's all about and what do we think about it.
Yep. So I'm excited to get into this topic and share with you all why I have decided to no longer wear makeup. And I'm interested to hear your thoughts on the topic as well. So let's dive right in. Before we dive into everything on this episode, I feel like I just need a disclaimer because this is kind of a touchy subject for some people. And I just want to say, as I've said on Instagram when we've kind of touched on this topic before, I'm not coming from any sort of a place of judgment. Obviously, he isn't either.
No.
We're speaking on our own experience. I'm speaking on my own experience, convictions that I've felt for myself. Everybody feels differently about this topic. I have no judgment of anyone that wears makeup. I feel like most women do wear makeup, and I'm not sitting over here judging everyone thinking oh, they just shouldn't wear makeup. If you want to wear makeup, please do. I don't. And so I'm just sharing my perspective on that and the reasons behind it. And I hope that, this will be helpful. And for those who have similar convictions to me, maybe you'll find something new
And it's just part of the story, right? As we go on this journey of low tox living and finding ways to improve our lives based off trying to get rid of things that could be affecting our body. It's something that's literally put, just like the food we eat. It's something that goes on our body. So how could we, it's one of those things you just can't ignore. Good or bad, it's something to look into, just like everything else we've looked into. So it's almost ignorant to not look into something like this.
Well, I feel like people who, you only get offended when somebody's coming after something that you don't feel secure in. So if you're offended or you feel any kind of way about somebody just saying that they don't wear makeup, then that's a little hint in your heart for you to look into for yourself of why is that making me feel this way? And then maybe you need to ask yourself, why do I wear makeup? I think most people are just working on autopilot. They're just going through life and just doing what they've always done. And I mean, that's certainly how I was until the, recent times, obviously. But you have to stop and kind of ask yourself, why am I doing this? Or why do I believe this? And, just ask those questions so that you can examine yourself. And then you'll be coming from a place of knowledge and being informed and feeling empowered in your beliefs, whatever it is, and go from there. And it's almost like an armor against being offended. I don't really get offended by things because I know why I stand for what I stand for. So if I, say that I don't wear makeup and somebody says, well, women should wear makeup, then that doesn't offend me at all because I know I'm coming from a place of my own, I've examined my own heart on this topic, and that's where I'm at. So.
Yeah, if any of you have met Katie or know Katie, she's extremely genuine for how she comes across. There's no intent of being judgy or anything like that. It's just her research and truth and conviction, and that's where she's coming from. And if it changes someone's hearts or gets you to, think about something or research something, that's what we want to hope to accomplish on this podcast. We've talked about that in episode 1, question the why.
Yeah.
That was our biggest thing of why we're not the same, is just asking why and diving into stuff. So that's where we're coming from.
Yeah. I feel like I'm just over sensitive on this topic because of sharing things on Instagram and people who don't really know me, maybe they follow me, but they don't really know me or know my heart or where I'm coming from. They get offended. And so then I've just had responses on the makeup topic before that, I just want to be clear, just like with the food stuff. If you eat Oreos, I know we talked about that before, if you eat Oreos or, whatever, we all have our things, we're not perfect. I feel like that's the other point too. It's like we don't do what we say, not what we do. You know, like we're not 100%. Nobody's 100% because it's just life. So anyways,
you get it.
This is way too drawn out, but
Yeah.
let's just get started.
Let's get right into it. Why are we really here? That's enough qualifications.
So I guess I'll kind of start off with just the whole kind of story, because it's not just because of toxins and makeup that I don't wear makeup. It's been a long time coming. So
where did it start?
Basically let's go all the way back to high school. I wasn't really like allowed to wear makeup. And even once I was allowed to wear makeup, it was like controlled, you know, like certain things, like just very light, you know, a natural look. I also come from a family, my mom, she doesn't wear a ton of makeup. And I'm actually very thankful for that, because I feel like as a girl growing up, you look up to your mom and you kind of do what she does. So if I had a mom who was constantly, you know, wearing tons of makeup or even having like procedures done, plastic surgery, that kind of stuff, then that would affect me. And, you know, what kind of message does that send, which is part of what we'll get into. But anyways, so I never really wore a lot of makeup. But then once I got into college and kind of blogging and YouTube became a lot more popular, I started getting more interested in makeup. And that's actually why I started blogging, because I saw that people were working with makeup brands, and makeup obviously can be very expensive, and they were getting things for free. And so I was like, well, I want to do that. And so I did. And that's how I grew to have such a massive collection of makeup.
We still get packages. I feel like you're still on like lists, and it's like,
get some
what?
Packages. Like, they need to check in with the people on their list. So maybe this podcast will put an end to all that. Yeah. So in college, I was like really into makeup, and I feel like I got like pretty decent at doing my makeup, and I would wear it probably not every single day, but most days. I just enjoyed kind of the artistry of it. And
yeah, and that's like, I have never really thought about this obviously as much, but like I can see now as we're talking about this, like there's kind of fun in the sense of like the artistry, like it is like art, and
it's
cool.
A part of fashion. And
yeah, that is, I mean, it's quite, I get that. That's pretty cool. Also, I think there's a utilitarian purpose for like thinking about like sunscreen, especially where we went, it was hot and all that stuff. So, I mean, you don't have to have makeup to do that, but it seems like something that plays into it. So
yeah,
but I don't know. I just had that realization for the first time. Like, oh, this is kind of like an art. Like I could see that.
Yeah, it was kind of fun, and it kind of, the collector in me enjoyed collecting just a lot of different things to try. And obviously, thanks to the YouTube beauty gurus and stuff, you kind of see them using stuff, and then you want it, and it's like almost like a marketing scheme.
What?
So, you know, that's kind of how I got into it. And then once I graduated and was working, I would always, you know, wear makeup to work. Again, like nothing crazy. I feel like I never had makeup just like plastered on. I always preferred a more natural look.
Yes, thankfully. Like
that's what you preferred too.
That's what I prefer too, the more natural look.
Yeah.
I mean, you can look at people out there who are just like, wow, that's a lot of makeup.
Yeah.
Like I always think about that when they take, I mean, I've obviously seen makeup videos just because it's out there.
Yeah.
And you've shown me some too, but like you always see those YouTube videos with like before and after or whatever. And it's like, how is that the same person? That's
I know.
scary.
Like you meet someone in the club and
yeah, we've always talked about that.
You might not like recognize them in the daylight. I don't know.
Wake up in the morning. Whoa, who's that?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So then when I got pregnant for the first time with Avery, I was so exhausted and tired. And that was like when I first kind of stopped wearing makeup, because I would literally sleep until the last possible second. And I would get out of bed, put clothes on, and go to work. And so that was kind of when makeup went downhill for me.
Going back, I actually have a quick question. So as you think about like makeup becoming more of a thing and YouTube and all these people, do you feel like there's judgment or awareness from other women, like as you think about going to work, that like there's, I guess that's a dumb question, do you feel judgment by other women to wear makeup?
Yes.
And I guess that's always been the case. I just don't know if it felt more extenuated or whatever by the fact that like now there's YouTube and everybody's talking about it and looking at different styles.
I mean, I don't know if the YouTube part like made it more intense for people, but I definitely feel like the norm is that you're more polished and put together when you have makeup on. And I just like, it's just my personality too. Like I just did not care. Like this is like the one feminist issue that I stand on. Like if men don't need to wear makeup to work, then why do I? I mean, no one ever said anything to me, but if they would have, I totally would have used that. Like there were a couple times where I thought like, wow, I really, don't put much effort into my look coming to work anymore. But I just, again, like, it's just my face. Like, this should not be offensive to anyone. It's literally my face. Like, men are coming here with their plain face. Why do I need anything special or different to show up to the office?
God gave you that great face.
Well, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
So then I did kind of start wearing makeup again after, you kind of get through that like newborn phase and all that, and you come out of the baby fog and feel like yourself again. So I remember going back and like wearing makeup and stuff, and Avery was more of a toddler at that point, and so she would like come and she would be watching me put my makeup on, and then she wanted makeup brushes and like little pretend makeup and stuff. And that was kind of when it started to chip away at me in a different way of like, is this what I want for my daughter? And then she asked me one time, why do you wear makeup? Because she just is that inquisitive little mind. And, how do you answer that? Like, well, I want to be pretty, but I am pretty. I don't want her to then think of herself like, oh, well, without makeup,
yeah,
I'm not prettier. I need makeup to be pretty. And so just those questions and like her seeing me and emulating me, that just started to kind of make me think more differently about wearing makeup. And I never got back to wearing it every single day, but I occasionally would. Then 2020 happened, we weren't going anywhere. So I really just, why would I ever wear makeup just to sit around home for 2 years? And then as we started, that's at the same time, started to look into all the low tox stuff and everything and learn that, what do you know? Surprise, surprise, makeup is full of toxic chemicals, skincare is full of toxic chemicals, all this stuff you're putting on your skin, and it's just not good for you. So at that point, I was like, well, forget this, like got rid of this is where my vanity used to be, like got rid of my vanity, got rid of most of the makeup. I did hang on to a few things. Like if I was going to an event or something, like I would probably wear makeup just honestly for the sake of other people, or like if I was invited to someone's wedding or something, like I might wear some makeup just more for their sake, than my own. And I do have mascara because sometimes I can't even answer why. Like, why do I still feel the need to wear mascara sometimes? It's just like those deep seated social pressures, I guess, of like, meeting someone new for the first time, want to like make my eyes look more awake or whatever. I don't know. So that's that. But basically, I also, as we have also grown in our faith, I feel a very strong conviction for myself, and I do feel this for all women. All women should feel empowered to just the face that God gave you. He gave us the face that we have for a reason, and we shouldn't be ashamed of it. Even if we have dark circles or blemishes or anything, like your face you're created in the image of God, and there's nothing wrong with your plain face and your plain hair. Like, you don't need anything else.
Well, and I think too, it plays into the overall arching story too of like, on a health journey, like as you start eating the right foods and becoming healthier too, like you can help your skin and your complexion and all of the things from my perspective, that like I feel like women use makeup to cover up different things or try to look more quote unquote beautiful. But if you start eating right, like we even noticed with you, like when we started doing more of the carnivore and the animal-based diet, like your dark circles like got less, and like using tallow and things. And I'm sure you'll talk more about this, but just shockingly, as you eat healthier, you look healthier too. And therefore you may not need more of the makeups and things like that.
Yeah, beauty is definitely from within. Like, and even I don't necessarily want to go down the path of all the plastic surgery, because if I don't even want to wear makeup, you can imagine what my thoughts are on that. But I, started to notice like some forehead wrinkles. We're in our 30s
Gasp.
now. It's pretty devastating. No, I'm just kidding. I don't care at all. But I do notice that they are less visible when I'm focused on hydration. Like when I'm really being intentional about making sure I'm hydrated with not just plain water, like with salt water or adrenal cocktails or coconut water, eating lots of fruit, like all of those things. I would notice like, wow, like I don't even like see these wrinkles as much anymore, which is just crazy. And that's it's a catch-22, because most people who do have acne and things, they want to cover it up, which I mean, that is understandable that, you might feel like you need to cover that up, but you're not doing yourself any favors by slathering your face with toxic chemicals. It's literally only going to contribute to the problem. So
it feels like it's almost like the health thing when you go through detox. Like it feels like your skin has to go through detox. I mean, that's what your skin's doing, right? That's what like pimples and all that stuff are, trapped dirt and things like that. And detoxing, I'm sure, is part of it too.
Yeah. I mean, that's the other thing that I've gotten before of like, oh, well, you just don't understand because you have great skin. And I have been blessed with great skin, but I can still tell you that if you have acne and things, like slathering chemicals on it is not going to help the issue. It comes from within, and I'm sure there are more natural ways that you can look to treat acne or products you can use, but just your standard drugstore makeup and stuff is just going to make it worse. It's literally a Band-Aid approach, just like covering it up. But that's the other thing. There are the clean beauty brands. And to me, this goes to my word of the year of less. Like, I just don't even want to go there, because what's considered clean today, it's still chemicals. It's still, what is makeup, right? Like, it's just a bunch of chemicals that today are deemed safe, but 10 years from now, one or more of them might come out to be more dangerous. And so why even go there? What's the point?
Yeah.
There's other ways to express your individuality and creativity. Like, you don't need to paint your face.
So what, like, I know on your journey to get here, like, what were some things that you were looking, like, I feel like even back when you had makeup and stuff, like what, if you don't want to go cut and dry and cut it off all at once, like what were some things that you were focused on, even in the like higher quality makeups, or like what things led you to having, making better choices? Like obviously there's nothing that's great other than tallow or something, but like that's not really makeup. So like, are there things that can be helpful for those who just aren't going to do cut and dry? Like, hey, I'm not going to.
I mean, higher end does not mean better at all. Like I had high end makeup because I was working with those brands, and they're not safe, like the chemicals and stuff. That's what I was going to say too. When I was pregnant, I was also worried about ingredients and stuff. Like I never looked into it. I had no idea. I just like intuition to know that like, well, I don't want to, eat deli meat. So shouldn't I also probably be concerned about the stuff I'm putting on my face? And so I don't know. I just didn't even want to look into it. I was just like, I'll just stop wearing it. I don't care. But there are clean beauty brands. Like there are brands just like our food. We never heard of Simple Mills before, and now we have tons of Simple Mills products. There's a lot of different clean beauty brands, but I would just use extreme caution when choosing, because what is it? Like it's still chemicals. So, but as you mentioned a couple times now, tallow. So we use tallow to cook, which is beef fat, but you can buy tallow that's been treated, I guess you would say, or it's like whipped or done in this certain way where you can actually use that for your skincare too. So honestly, I don't even need much skincare just because it's all coming from within my diet. The food I eat is my skincare. But if there are times where I feel like my skin is a little dry or whatever, then I just like put the tallow on, and it's like ultra, like you literally need like nothing and your skin will feel like hydrated. Like when I first got it, I knew you weren't supposed to use much, but I still like I was using way too much and my face actually got way too greasy. And so then I realized you literally like need to use like nothing to have a difference.
It's good for other stuff too, like heals, put it on wounds and or not open wounds, but like healing wounds for scars and things like that too. So
yep, yeah, it's like in my big fat Greek wedding, how the dad, I think he's like, put some Windex on it. That's how I am with the tallow.
Yeah.
Like everything. I'm like, put some tallow on it. Bug bite, put some tallow on it. Scrape, put some tallow on it. Like some little rash or something, put some tallow on it. Like just literally everything.
And funny story on the tallow, like we had been trying to get tallow to like eat and process and do our food and stuff, and it doesn't taste like the very best. So like I think we were on the search for like a good brand, and Katie kept telling me about this tallow that she found, and like they're all sold out, so she's gonna like wait, and there's gonna be a sale, and she's gonna order this stuff, and I'm like super excited because I'm like, this is fantastic. We're gonna find one that like does taste really good, and we can cook our eggs and all that good stuff in it. And it comes and it's in this like little tiny jar, and I'm like, man, I'm excited to try that and like taste. It must taste pretty good. And she's like, taste? What do you taste?
You said like I'll use that for breakfast in the morning. I was like, wait, what? No, this is for my face.
I mean, you could eat it. It's just pure tallow.
I mean, the one I got is literally just pure tallow. There's ones that have mixed in essential oils, mixed in herbs, stuff like that. But I just got the straight tallow. So you could totally eat it. You could totally
just really expensive.
Use it for breakfast. But yeah, it's very expensive. Very expensive for your eggs in the morning. So focusing more on just like the low tox aspect of it, there are the figures out there that say women use like 160 some chemicals just in their personal care products. Like if you wake up in the morning, take a shower, get ready for the day, like through all those products, it's like 168 chemicals on average that women are using on their body, which is just crazy versus men. Like, I mean, I'm sure there's some men who, you know, do all the skincare and all that. You're stereotypical dude, you know, you're using like a bar of soap and some
rocks,
hair gel. I don't know. It's like 2 products and then good to go. So not as much of a risk there. So it's just crazy that women are exposed to so much just in your natural routine. It goes back to like on autopilot. What are you even doing? Like you just have your routine. And so I would just encourage you to just like take inventory of your routine and how many products are you using? Like what could you try going without and cutting out and things like that just to see. But there was one study that I recently saw where they tested a lot of cosmetics for PFAs, which are known as forever chemicals because they like don't ever break down pretty much in the environment or within the environment of your body. And so those are found in a lot of things like cookware and plastics. And like, that's why we avoid all those things, but they also can be found in makeup products. And so in this study, they found 52% of the samples, which was like over 200 samples, had PFAs in them. And so that is linked to all sorts of bad things like cancer, thyroid disease, lung disease, decreased fertility, hormone disruption, like, and you know, anything, you name it, it can be linked to that. So just a little heads up. Your makeup, I mean, it's literally, it's going on your skin, which is your largest organ, your pores, it's absorbing throughout the day. And you just have to ask yourself, like, what is that? That's just absorbing into your body.
Yeah. And I think too, I think what would hit home for us, or like I think about sometimes, is like a lot of people say like everything in moderation and like, oh, it's not going to kill me and all this stuff. And like the problem is it's like a cumulative effect, meaning that everything you do is cumulative. It's all adding up inside your body and on top of your body and all of that. So even if these it goes both ways. Like if you do put on makeup and you do eat bad, like it all adds up together. At the same time, if you start chipping away and make little, differences and changes, that's starting to chip away at that compounding effect.
Yeah.
And you can continue to get better and better and better and ultimately rip more away, and start replacing it with the healthy things. So I think making some changes is a good way to start. Like, don't just give in to giving up because it's so hard or there's a lot of things out there. Everything's going to kill me. So why should I even do this? It's not that much. I don't wear it that often or whatever it is. But like, it's compounding. So just start, question why, and, start taking a look and see if you can wear one less thing. Or I don't know exactly how it works, but,
Yeah, you could start with one less thing. I feel like, too, it's so tricky because we don't know how much of any toxic thing is in each item that you're using. And so you can say, well, if they're selling this, like it's just a little, but they're not testing out your full face of makeup. So each individual product might be within whatever safety limits, which that doesn't exist, but let's pretend that it does. Even if each one was within some sort of a safety limit, then they're not testing all the products together that you're using. So maybe each one is 1 point below the limit, but when you add it all up, I mean, that would just be crazy, way above. So, and then just going back to having daughters, and I mean, obviously sons too. Like if you have a son, what are you're kind of doing your future daughter-in-laws a disservice by just making them think that, women need makeup or should always have makeup on or whatever, because then that's just the norm for them. And then for girls too, it's just, what are they seeing, and you might stand there and constantly tell them how beautiful they are and be, teaching them over the years, like, you're beautiful just the way you are. But then if they stand there and watch you put on your makeup every single day in the morning, like, your actions speak louder than your words to your kids. I think we all experience that with our own parents, and our kids are experiencing it with everything that we say and do. So again, it's not a place of judgment. I think I'm just putting it out there for something to consider.
Yeah.
I don't think everyone thinks about that. Like, I didn't think about it until my daughter literally asked me, like, why do you wear makeup? And I'm like, well, why do I wear makeup? I don't know. Just
question
doing
everything.
it. Yeah. You're just like wearing it because that's what you do as a woman. You wear makeup. But why?
There's a lot of questions like that.
Yeah.
We're going to keep out. Why do you wear the clothes that you wear?
Yeah.
Why do you eat the things that you do? Why do you take that medication that you do? Like, question everything.
So how do you feel about having a wife that does not fit the standard of normal beauty standards, I guess?
I mean, obviously I love it. Like,
is it obvious? I don't know.
I hope it's obvious. But I mean,
we've talked about it before.
Yeah, exactly. And to me, you're naturally beautiful the way that you are. And I mean, also that's from growing up. Like, I didn't know you like you mentioned in high school, like that's when we started dating and you didn't wear that much makeup anyway. So that's what I was used to seeing yourself, your natural God-given face anyway. And what I, fell in love with and all of that. So I love it. I also love, it just like everything, it just makes it's just common sense that's not so common. Like, why
uncommon sense.
Uncommon sense, yeah. So why would you put chemicals and stuff on your face just to, quote unquote, like enhance what God gave you? So all the points that you're making, like, I'm 100% on board with, and you're absolutely gorgeous without your makeup.
Thanks.
So I love it. And obviously I don't often think about makeup and how that would impact my daughters, but I should, and you've helped me think through that. And obviously I'm proud of you for leading the way and leading that effort so that they aren't impacted by that.
Yeah.
And I think with growing up with kids too, and we've talked about this a lot, is like telling them the why behind things. This is not just related to makeup, but everything, like why they're getting in trouble or why this is that way or why this is that. Like, I feel like kids, and well, we've seen especially that kids can comprehend so much more than you think they can.
Yeah.
So just telling them the why behind things, like, I think is going to have such an impactful thing for them.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I mean, because people will say like, oh, well, if you're so against makeup, your daughters are just going to go crazy for makeup someday. And like, that's the thing. Like, I'm not so against makeup. I just don't wear it. And so my daughters just will not see me putting it on as part of their upbringing. Like, will they ever be interested in makeup? I'm sure they will. And like when that day comes, I'll show them, you know, that they need to be buying products that have better ingredients if they do want to buy things, and then they'll probably see how expensive they are, and then they'll probably be like, well, that's just a waste of my money. But we'll see. Maybe not. Maybe they will be very into it and go through that phase just as I did, even though I grew up with a mom who didn't wear much makeup. But we can only do what we can do. Like, we don't know what our kids are gonna rebel or not against. Like, could literally be anything. So I think we just have to do what we believe is right and try to explain it to them. Like, I think that's the difference in a lot of these like rebellions that you see, is that it's just throwing down the hammer. Like, this is how you have to do it with no explanation as to why. It's just like obey and that's it. But we're very intentional in like explaining it to them. Like you said, like I was just explaining food dyes to Avery the other day when she was in the bath. Like, I don't even know how we started talking about it, but I was like, when you see like, oh, we were talking about her candy that's like colored with food, beets, you know, like beets and turmeric and all this stuff. And I was like, the food dyes, you know, they can hurt your brain and like cause you to think differently. And I told her I'm going to start showing her like ingredient labels and stuff so she can see.
That's awesome. What other tips do you have for telling kids about this stuff? Like, as a mom with a 4-year-old or 5-year-old now, I keep forgetting. What are other things that you've told her that have seemed to sunk in?
Let's see. I feel like the food dyes is a big one. Sugar is a big one. Just talking about ingredients in general. I feel like she will ask, you know, does it have good ingredients or whatever? And even Georgia, she knows about ingredients because she can't have milk. So she'll ask, you know, if there's milk in it or whatever. But I think just involving them in the process, like instead of just looking at a snack and being like, oh, this is okay or this isn't okay, just like say your thoughts out loud and show it to them, talk through it with them, like explain why, you know, the ingredients are bad in terms that they can understand, obviously. Like, and we try to talk a lot about how food is like our energy and it helps our bodies grow. And, you know, some food gives us a lot of really good energy and other food is more just a treat, you know, and it's not really fueling our body the way that other things. But we also tell them like it's okay to have treats sometimes. And, you know, I'm very cognizant of not wanting to demonize anything, but just showing them like how we make choices so that hopefully they're learning to critically think. That's
the goal.
If they can critically think someday, then I'll feel like I did a good job.
Yep.
So I think that's pretty much it. I mean, it's not a super in-depth topic, but I have touched on it on Instagram before, but I've always wanted to kind of go more in-depth. So that's part of the reason we wanted to do this podcast, so we could be able to like talk more conversationally about some of these things.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and as always, feel free to reach out if you have any questions or want to dive deeper or understand more of what where we're at. And obviously be sure to like and comment and do all the wonderful things and follow us for all of this podcast and others. So
thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.